Hey backers, Rylan here. Welcome to part 2 of this update, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the larger prints that we've been doing with the more functional version of the $100 3D printer kit. This is an owl, and just like the last owl, but we've gone a lot bigger this time. And usually we don't do that because when we print small prints, it's faster to run into issues and then start solving them. But because the printer is working so good, we decided to up the scale a bit and see how well it would do at a 7 or 8 centimeter tall owl. There are many things that I've learned from this print. We do have a few holes left, but from what I'm seeing in the time lapses, those are things that we know about and we can solve. So I'm expecting those to go away completely soon. And it's very interesting to see the dotting on his back. We were wondering, you know, where did that come from? It's so consistent looking. It looks like something that we must have caused. And when we looked into that further, we actually counted how many dots were across his back in a certain spot between his wings, and we found 21 dots. And then we looked back to the 3D model and found that there were actually 21 faces across his back. So what that means is the printer has printed the texture that's in the model correctly that you probably wouldn't expect to see with a lot of home 3D printers out there. So while there's nothing stopping you from printing a low resolution model or a model with, you know, less than a few million polygons, it's also quite likely that you'll run into the limitations of the resolution of the 3D model itself, and you'll see those limitations coming out in the print. So all of those interesting things aside, we're very happy with how this owl's gone, and we're very happy with the things that we've learned from it. And I'm excited to see it with paint because that's going to cover up almost all the artifacts that you can see, maybe all of them, and really just show how well the printer's done at this print. So knowing what we learned from the owl print, we went out searching for a 3D model that had a really high poly count, a really high resolution model. And we found Venus DeMilo, a famous statue. This print is just shocking how well it's done. It is just amazing to see that the $100 kit can pull something like this off. And you can see that the high poly count has made a big difference in this model. We don't see any of the dotting effects that we found in the owl. But we do still see some layering effects, and I think that those are mostly optical because when you run your finger on this print, it's really hard to feel them. They look a lot larger than they actually are, but they're still there, and that's why we print in transparent so that we can see these kinds of things. And I think that their cause is vibration. You know, ever since we moved away from using oil dampening to using magnetic dampening, the printer has been a lot more sensitive to vibration than it was before. And I think that these layering effects are happening pretty repeatably, and it's probably getting caused by another feature that we've added to the printer, which is something we're calling a drip bubbler. And that's basically a container with a small hole in the bottom that lets water out and keeps water at a very certain level that we can siphon from. It basically works like a chicken feeder or a water cooler, how the bubbles go in and let a certain amount of water out. So I'm thinking that every time bubbles come up, that causes a little bit of vibration that causes these layering effects. And so we'll be working to see if that's true or to see what's causing them. And I think that we might be able to get the printer to do, you know, really glassy clear prints with almost no visible artifacts at all. So I'm excited about that. But even if we can't, this is amazing. And I'm really happy with the results that we have right now. Another thing that we noticed with this print is that there are a lot less holes, or at least a lot less holes that we didn't expect. We did have this large hole in the base, and that's basically just because of how we've sliced it. We know about that problem and we know we can fix it. But the rest of the model had only one very small hole in her chin, and that was right beside some support material that we added. So I think that that was caused by a laser on-off issue, and we can further solve that. And the rest of the print had no holes in it, and that's really impressive, and I think that it shows us that a higher resolution model probably causes less vibration to be happening because we're more accurately positioning the mirrors, and that's had a really positive effect on this model. So very, very few holes, and the holes that are here are almost too small to matter. Another thing that I'm really noticing when I pick up these larger prints is just how light they are and how little resin is in them. They feel like ping pong balls. The wall thickness is less than 1 millimeter, and the real positive to that is just how little they cost. I'm not going to quote any numbers right now, but these are going to use very little resin when printed as just a shell, and I think it's quite possible to fill them up with something else that's even less expensive than our resin. So I'm really happy with just how thin and lightweight we're able to print. So moving forward, we have a little bit of work left to do. You know, as we've added all these hacks and modifications to the printer is becoming a little bit hairy, like the circuit's over on the bench and there's a long wire going to the printer, and there's just all these changes that need to get consolidated into a product that we can ship. So we're going to make those changes quickly and then test that product one more time, make sure that it works as we expect it to, and then we can move on to focusing on shipping. I just want to say thank you so much for all of your support. It's been absolutely wonderful for us and the team to be enabled to do this work, and we can't wait to get this in your hands. It's working great. So I'm looking forward to talking about all the changes and the hacks that we did to the $100 3D printer kit to get it working this well, and I'll talk about that in a future update. We'll see you next time.